Welcome back to Troy Versus. And before we start, I will say I made a mistake. I said in my previous video that I will talk about Flash of the Blade X. Well, the glorious dosman gave me a list of release dates, and the first game that comes after Damocles is Flash of the Blade. Not Flash of the Blade X, Flash of the Blade. So yeah, I'm going to play Flash of the Blade. And not only that, I will also play Flash of the Blade X. So this will be a long video. First, let's start with Flash of the Blade. Flash of the Blade is a retro-inspired first-person shooter, and it is on itch.io. It says on the website it's a ninja slasher with a brutal difficulty, and oh boy, I have lots to say about the difficulty, but that's for later. The game was released I think a year ago. And the story is simple. You are a lone ninja that is against an evil ninja clan that has a diaper-wearing sumo wrestler as a leader. And I'm not joking about the diaper, it's literally on the website. See? So the story is short, but it's enough for a bite-sized dosman game. So yeah, let's start the game up. So starting the game, you get a short intro, and immediately the main menu. Unfortunately, there's no music, which feels kinda unsettling, but this time the main menu has a save feature. Actually, let's check that save feature. It has a save file. Let's check that one out. Okay, what the fuck is that? Okay, let's just ignore that and let's go to the options. Okay, let's see if the sound menu is still broken. Okay, I noticed two things in dosman games. The game is bite-sized and the sound menu is just breaking all the time. Okay, let's just start a new game. Okay, I expected the visuals to be different. I really thought this game would be a mix between Concrete Visions and the new dosman games, but I was wrong. And to be blunt, I don't like it. Maybe later levels looks better, but the dark visuals really put me off. Like, it's Concrete Visions. Like, the visuals is better for Concrete Visions than in this game. Like, you are a ninja, lots of dark, but clear view. And with these visuals, I barely can look in a long distance, which in later levels will be a problem. But back to the level. This level looks simple. Stone walls and a greasy floor. The level starts with some platforming and 2D boxes, which I don't think it's a good idea. This level already starts with some platforming, which I don't think it's for beginners. Also, your first enemy, a ninja. You can really destroy him with a katana. And let's talk about the katana. This weapon has great damage and is fast. I will say this is a perfect melee weapon, but unfortunately I barely used it because of a specific reason that you can see in level 2. But back to the first level. So after some simple platforming, you go into the house through the roof and slice some people there. And after the slicing, you end the level. This is a sweet level that has a nice soundtrack behind it. So welcome to hell. Okay, all jokes aside, this level looks off. A little too red. So starting this level, you immediately find some ninjas with daggers. These have the same amount of HP as the first couple of ninjas. Just 1 or 2 hits and they're done. Passing these ninjas, you will find the first dosman in this game. You just go left behind the tree and you find dosman. And this time dosman has some presents for you. 2 new weapons. Shurikens and a crossbow. The shuriken does decent damage and you can 2-shot an enemy. It also has a fast fire rate, so you don't need to worry about damage. The second one is the crossbow. It's a massive damage dealer, but slower fire rate than the shurikens. The only small problem I have with the crossbow is the firing animation. I can understand what it tries to replicate, of the arrow shooting away, but it just goes away too close to the middle and it just sets me off. And that's the only negative about the crossbow. The shurikens also has one negative. It's about the first person model. If you have a decent imagination, you clearly can see the hand with the shurikens, but if you become more creative, you might think it's a black vase with white flowers in it. And with those weapons done, let's look back at the level. The level really increased the enemy count, and those ranged weapons really comes in handy. But you need to be careful with the amount of ranged enemies. The ranged ninjas does 6 damage each, but huddle them in a group and they can do a lot of damage. Also, the ranged ninjas has a green band on his head, so it's kinda easy to see which enemies it is. So yeah, this level is kinda easy. Wait, I died. Okay, weird. Maybe I didn't look at my health. Wait, I'm on 1 HP. Okay, let's search up what happened. Dosman, who hurt you? I know you said brutal difficulty. It doesn't mean that every enemy can take 95 HP from you, and most of the time it's difficult to see if they're still alive because of the pixelated look and barely having any sounds on them. And I know, ninjas, but again, this is getting crazy. Like, the Mockless was one thing, but this is another new level. And this is also the reason why I barely use the katana. One hit from the enemy, and you only have 5 HP. This is also the first game I'm doing quick saves a lot. But yeah, melee enemies are brutal in this game. And also saying that, I stopped playing this game as a boomer shooter and more as a tactical shooter, with cleaning rooms and such. But yeah, this level is big and has lots of enemies. Remember when I said that the Mockless second level was the worst level I ever played? Well, it's still the case, but this level is a close second. So yeah, where to start with this level? Okay, with the start of course. So you start in a foggy forest, and I will say the atmosphere is really nice. It semi reminds me of Concrete Visions, but much more cleaner and forest-like. But at the start, you need to do something else than you really thought you need to do. But I will talk about that later. So, walking through the forest, there are some enemies, but it's not a big problem. Except during the middle of the level. So there's a lot of bushes and eventually the road stops and you need to go through a lot of bushes. And what's inside the bushes? A lot of enemies. I died in this map. Multiple times. Also the road I took was the wrong road. So after my first death, I noticed a stairway next to the road that was semi-hidden. This was the intended way. You take the stairway all the way up, then you need to follow the path, which is easy to do with some easy enemies, until you do the platforming stuff, which is brutal. I also fell from the platform a couple of times, which is extremely bad because you go back into the lower part, into the bushes, and most of the time you are completely lost. And this game, surprisingly, doesn't have a map feature. So after a couple of deaths, I ended up platforming with the key. And you know what I did afterwards? I jumped immediately down and found the exit. I'm so tired with this level. And also, if there was any other secret weapons here, I didn't grab it. I don't even know if there was a dosman in this level. Okay, there was a weapon here. It has high damage but slow speed. Level 4 looks interesting. A little too bright for me, but it gives that place a balanced feeling. So starting this level, you can see some oranges and a long hallway. And to be honest, this hallway is the level. It's just one long hallway with enemies, aka a gauntlet. And this level is difficult for semi the wrong reasons. The right reasons is it only has ranged enemies. The wrong reason is you need to look really carefully where the enemies are. And the art style really doesn't help with this level. So you can already see, it's sometimes difficult to see. Next to it is the head scan, which normally is not a big problem, except this level, because the amount and there's no healing items, except at the start. I think this level would be really nice if the art style were different. A town map, which to be honest, starts on the wrong foot. You only see one door, and while normally it's not that bad, most of the level is just behind you, and there are enemies also behind you. so you also need to be careful. But yeah, it's a simple town map that I got lost for way too long and made me on edge the whole time. And the reason? Enemies can fall from the rooftops. And it doesn't help that they're also mostly silent. Next to, you need to find the key to open that door. So your first instinct is check every house, which only rewards you with some healing items and a lot of enemies. Which is also not the key location. So after a while, I found the location of the key. So remember the first map with the 2D platforming? Yeah, you need to do that. Yeah, I'm not a fan of it. Yeah, it's annoying because I already fell off 2 times from the platforming. So yeah, you need to do some platforming, which I already said in level 1, I am not a fan of 2D platforming. Well, platforming on 2D objects, which is silly, in my opinion. And being on the rooftops, it's much more clear where the key is and how to platform. So yeah, grabbing the key on the rooftops and falling back down, you just open the first building, go in, and exit the level, which is kind of funny. Like, this level is simple, and talk about simple, let's talk about the new weapon we find. It's the dual knives, which does less damage than the katana, but is faster. Still not a good reason to use melee in this game. Trust me, the enemies will still kill you. And finally, I found dosman again.
You found me. You.
This level is weird. Okay, let's start with the music. It doesn't really fit the theme and this level. Well, actually maybe this level. This level feels really disconnected. I really forgot about this level until looking at the footage. The only thing I remember is that statue. But this level really feels it's just here and really disconnected. There's nothing new in this level. Like, it's just there. Okay, back to a fourth level, and it's more difficult than the previous one. One of the reasons is I used all my ammo. And not only ammo, also healing. To be honest, there's not a lot of new stuff except a new enemy that I think is a mid-boss. This guy, a guy in white pajamas, who is really fast and tries to kick you, but after a lot of melee hits, he gets down and you get a key from him. And this key, I have no clue where this needs to go. I searched around but no success. I found dosman again, in a really unique hidden room. A castle level, and I love it. Also, the transition between this level and the previous level doesn't really make sense. Like at the end of level 7, you see a red hallway, which I took it as going to the underworld, or something like that. But nope, a castle. But saying that, this level is really fun, and different than the fourth level. I love the atmosphere that dark room gives. The right amount of enemies that makes this castle really feel believable. Just a chef kiss. So going through the castle, I had a blast. Eventually I found a key on top of the castle that I needed to exit the level. But not only that, I found a way to the roof outside, where I found another dosman.
You found me.
And a place that I think you can soft lock yourself. I haven't tried because I don't trust easy FPS engine save files. Looking at you, Quartermain. It took me a while before finding the exit, which is literally the start. A day mission. It looks semi-off. It's really the filter that makes it off. But looking at the level really starts strong, with a horde of enemies, and after that you walk a beautiful path next to some water, which you can go into, but it's a really bad idea. Dosman, can you help me? Dosman, please. Dosman, help, I'm stuck. 3 stuck, help. Well, thank God saving works in this game. And it's my first soft lock I had in a dosman game. But yeah, the normal way to get the dosman is through a different tree branch. But back to this level, it's kinda the same afterwards. You go into a couple buildings and destroy everything. Not much happening to be honest, except it's a day level. I hate this level. This is the penultimate level, which you get a whole of enemies around you and you have barely any place to hide because the lava is mostly of the level. Which, fun fact, the enemies are immune to lava. So that's fun. But the positive news is if you stand on the edge next to lava, it doesn't hurt you. Also during this level you find 2 white ninjas. The final level, and it's really a letdown. So remember the glitch level at the start? It's the same level except the enemies is not transported into different objects. But the boss, the sumo wrestler, he is really easy and just tanky. Just hit him 2 or 3 times and walk away, and repeat. It's really disappointing to be honest. After killing the sumo wrestler, you get a gold key which opens the exit. And exiting the building, the screen goes to black and you finish the game. So yeah, that was Flash of the Blade. I'm mixed on it. So the story is really fun and simple, and most of the levels are fine, but the major damage you get from enemies, which, give me 1 second. Which is totally ridiculous, and level 3 being level 3, stupid forest, bamboo stuff. Also, the art style being more a hindrance than pretty also gives this a mixed outcome. But saying that, all of all, I think I will give it a 5 out of 10. Again, it has some fun moments, but also some moments you will definitely hate. Also, I found 5 dosman this time. But let's look at the retail remake of this game. Future Troy here, and I promised an extremely long video, but during editing it's already 20 minutes, or 17 I think. So I'm making this video into 2-parter. So the first part, which is this video, will only be about Flash of the Blade. So next part, which will be released in a couple of weeks, will be Flash of the Blade X. Sorry for the sudden surprise, but I think it's better this way. So see you guys next time.